Hey traders, Raghi here, and in tonight's TradeForexFutures.com free video, I want to walk you through some of the newer additions to my watch list, as well as a lot of my closed positions and what I'm thinking about in terms of later this week. So I want to skim over all that, and we'll kind of get some detail out to you in the emails throughout the week. So there are a number of New Zealand dollar pairs that are on my watch list. The next 2 days are going to be very interesting in terms of the data coming out of New Zealand, the data coming out of China, and then on Wednesday culminating with the Canadian dollar. I'll talk about that in a moment. So I've got my eye on the New Zealand dollar Japanese yen, and this is very similar to the recent US dollar Japanese yen trade, whereby they're both distribution fades off range extreme lows. In other words, in a sideways chop, I'm simply looking for the oversold buy. And I just finished doing that about, I'm looking at my platform here. We just finished doing that on, actually you can see here actually I'll just slide this over, take a peek. We just finished doing this on the 14th. So this was the dollar yen position that I took. And the same trade, the same strategy is what I'm looking to employ here on the New Zealand dollar Japanese yen, which is buy yen, buy New Zealand dollar, sell yen, buy the pair, buy the New Zealand dollar Japanese yen to take advantage of New Zealand dollar strength overall, because we might see a little bit more stability out of the New Zealand dollar if we see another good dairy auction number. You know, I think 2 dairy auction numbers in a row kind of heading in the higher direction would be very, very positive for the New Zealand dollar. But what I do need in the meanwhile is some volatility to get me down into this zone, so I'll be watching for that. The next pair is the New Zealand dollar Canadian dollar. Now that's what I talked about on Wednesday. We've got some ground to cover. Again, some New Zealand dollar weakness would work here just like it would on the New Zealand dollar Japanese yen, and I'm looking for the pullback. But if I don't get it tonight, Monday night, or tomorrow, Tuesday night, I'll look to see if the BOC can help close the distance on what would essentially be a swing buy. The last one is the New Zealand dollar Japanese, actually not New Zealand dollar Japanese, Euro New Zealand dollar. So of course the Euro weakness story is a great one. This is one that I wouldn't mind waiting to see what happens Thursday. In fact, I made a note to myself right here, and I prefer to see this trigger on Thursday, and that takes me to some of my open trades. So let me show you here. Actually, let me just pull up the last month of trades. Okay, so this is my last month of trades, and what we have is, I've closed out of a lot of trades. Just let me make sure this is the last month. Yeah, so for the last month, I've closed out a number of trades. In fact, if I just go ahead and, you know what, let me just do a quick custom period here from the first to, there we go. Okay, so that is, okay, just the last month. So what I have right now are a number of trades that are open, and you can see 2 euro shorts and the Aussie New Zealand dollar, and that's what I've got right now. So a much smaller bunch of trades. These are all taken from the 13th, 14th, and 15th. So they're relatively recent, today only being the 19th. Now, the thing to remember in terms of the approach I'm taking with the euro, and I alluded to this in the email earlier today, and we'll get into it more throughout the week, but I do believe we could see a short squeeze. I think that a lot of traders, I hate saying it, the euro short is crowded. I mean, what does that mean? This has been probably crowded for months. So the short side is the way to go. The market's factoring in QE, and the market's factoring QE in a big way. Did the SMB just tip the ECB's hand? Maybe. That's probably one of the reasons they decided to go ahead and lift the cap off the peg. And obviously the dollar strength, US dollar strength, has been a part of the euro-US downtrend. But since we have seen an acceleration going into the meeting we're going to see in just 3 days, I would like to be either in a very nice cushion of pips, and I've got a pretty decent cushion right now. These are pips. That's the number of pips. I prefer to look at pips, not dollars. Dollars are very emotional, and I'd rather focus on pips. But I'd like to see the continuation if possible, but come Wednesday night before the ECB press conference Thursday morning, I like to just kind of ratchet in with my trailing stops and maybe have a smaller position in case we just continue to move down lower. And the scenario for that would be that the QE scope and Mario Draghi's plan is just so much more grand than what we discounted. And I'll talk about that on Wednesday, and I'll send that out in Wednesday's email and video. My expectation is, just like most QE, it's going to take a number of rounds, and this first round may not be as large or just may be in line with expectations, in which case I believe we're going to see a lot of profit taking. Profit taking will be buying, then they'll be buying momentum players, and then ultimately perhaps a short squeeze. And a short squeeze is exactly what I'd like to see to re-enter. I'm not a bull here, hear me out. I just think there might be a really good opportunity for a short squeeze, and I'll continue to look for a balance of proximity and shock absorption. So I have something within striking distance, but I haven't gotten too close to price action that I'm just going to get steamrolled by the volatility that we'll see likely on Thursday. This does also change some of the complexion for how aggressive I may get Wednesday with the BOC, because if the Canadian dollar doesn't help close the distance, perhaps on Thursday, any kind of euro strength could create US dollar weakness and help close the distance. So we'll talk more about this during the week, but just putting a few more names on the radar. And again, I've got a pretty small position in terms of what's left as of the 19th this month. I'm kind of happy to be closing out a lot of trades, but I really do want that next round of opportunities, and these 5 names that I shared with you are probably going to be a pretty big part of that.